The fuck?
I'm just trying to wait the dog. I want to give a shout out to our good friends at Blue Mics. If you've heard my voice on this show any time over the past year, including right now, you've been listening to Blue microphones. And let me tell you, after more than 30 years in broadcasting, I don't think I have ever sounded better. But you don't need to be a pro or have a fancy studio to benefit from a quality mic. You may not realize it, but if you've been working from home or using Zoom to chat with friends, you probably spend a lot of time in front of a microphone. So why not sound your best? Whether you're doing video conferencing, podcasting, recording music, or hosting a talk show, Blue has you covered. From the USB series that plugs right into your computer to XLR professional mics like the Mouse or the Blueberry we use in the studio right now. Bottom line, there's a Blue microphone to fit your budget and need. I can't say enough about Blue mics, and once you try one, you will never go back. Trust me. To take your audio to the next level, go to drdrew.com/blue. That is drdrew.com/BLUE. Anyone who's watched me over the years knows that I'm obsessed with Hydralyte. In my opinion, the best oral rehydration product on the market. I literally use it every day. My family uses it. When I had COVID, I'm telling you, Hydralyte contributed to my recovery, kept me hydrated. Now, with things finally reopening back around the country, the potential exposure to the common cold is always around. And like always, Hydralyte has got your back. Hydralyte Plus Immunity, my new favorite, starts with their fast-absorbing electrolytes and adds a host of great ingredients. Plus, each single serving easy pour drink mix contains 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, 300 milligrams of elderberry extract. Hydralyte Plus Immunity comes in convenient, easy to pour sticks that rapidly dissolve in water, make a great tasting drink, has 75% less sugar than your typical sports drink. It uses all natural flavors, gluten-free, dairy-free, caffeine-free, non-GMO, and even vegan. Hydralyte Plus Immunity is also now available in ready-to-drink bottles at the Walmart next to the pharmacy, or as always, you can find it by visiting hydralyte.com/Dr. Drew. Again, that is hydralyte.com/DRDREW. Be sure to use the code Dr. Drew 25 for a special discount.
Everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
It is our special guest, Mike Catherwood.
He moved.
Hello.
He's somewhere else, and we're going to get into all that. You can follow Mike at Mike Catherwood, obviously. Where else do you want to send people? Mikey Likes You?
Mikey Likes You, my podcast, now available as a YouTube show. There's a video component, and I've put in a lot of effort into making it something useful, something worthwhile, and you know what, something above and beyond just seeing me talking to a mic. There's studies and clips and exercise execution and Russians doing the most fucked up shit you've ever seen.
Yeah, I saw. I guess on Instagram you posted some looked like the rack from like medieval, some sort of Elizabethan torture.
That's
actually,
a Russian chiropractor.
I actually couldn't watch it. What did they do with that guy? He was in cables in every limb and neck and probably his waist too, I bet.
It looked, like in medieval times when they used to like quarter someone with a horse.
Yeah.
They were doing that, but with like weight stacks, like weight plates. And they were pumped on it. They were like, this is a great idea.
Was the idea just to stretch the joints? And what was the plan?
I don't know.
Okay.
All I know is that shit doesn't happen anywhere west of like Moscow.
Right.
It's insanity. Right. And there's just an endless stream of Russians doing bizarre, horribly vulgar things for the sake of like physical performance.
Is it Mikey Likes You or Mikey Likes Me?
Mikey Likes You.
Yeah, Susan Reddit put it up there as Mikey Likes Me. Yeah.
Mikey Likes You, yes.
So,
and
she put the me in
appreciate
capital.
it. I mean, I really do. I believe in that podcast. It's become something much more than just, kind of sets and reps. And I also have an attached Patreon. Just look for Mike Catherwood on Patreon if you're looking for even more assistance and guidance.
So I see lots of, at least I see on Instagram, and I'm guessing it's on the YouTube show as well, lots of specific, you performing specific exercises, right?
Yes. Yes.
A lot of leg, a lot of back.
A lot of leg, a lot of back. Yeah.
Why?
That should be the ethos for everyone, because that's where like 85% of your musculature is, you know?
Yeah.
And I know that the hard part is like those, you know, if you to collect all the things, especially for guys that people don't train very often because they're not what you see in the mirror, it's the things you should be training the most.
Right. Right. And when we last talked was when you really were starting to focus on back, right? You had a trainer at that time that was making a big deal out of that. And what did you start to do?
I just honestly, like, I would double the volume of anything in my posterior chain to anything on the front of my body.
Not the weight, but the volume of exercise.
Yeah.
Meaning the work.
Intensity of everything I do is pretty universal. I always I don't try to, you know, do very low amounts of weight or moderate amounts of intensity. I always kind of go balls to the wall, but you know, I'm going to do twice as much, like I said, twice as much volume for my glutes in comparison to my quads, for my rear delts and my rhomboids in comparison to my chest and stuff like that.
Well, when you say volume, I'm trying to get a sense of what that means. Is that work?
Just amount of reps. I mean, excuse me, amount of sets.
Because work is, you know, movement times activity, right?
Yeah.
Essentially amount. You know.
So it's amount of sets.
Got it.
The more exact way.
And what is the current sort of philosophy? If you're just trying to build reasonably, you're not trying to go crazy. It seems like, you know, it used to be 4 sets, 8 reps. Now is it more like 12 to 15, 4 sets?
I always say to people, like, you know, training is just like nutrition. Everyone wants to glom on to something that's extreme and very kind of minimalist. And when it comes to like exercise selection, I kind of can agree with that and I support it. But when it comes to like training style, it's just like nutrition in that, you know, I was doing a panel the other day with a bunch of people. One guy was carnivore, one guy was vegan, and everyone's arguing over food. And they asked me point blank, you know, if you have a choice between an apple and a steak, which one would you choose? And I was like, I don't understand why I can't have both. Because I'm a Homo sapien and I'm an omnivore, and I think both are awesome.
Right.
And you should include both. And the same thing goes for training. You absolutely should train for pure strength in a lower rep range for 3 to 5 reps, really heavy weight, you know, lower amounts of sets and things like that for 3 or 4 months. I also go 3 or 4 months where I'm training 15 to 20 reps with moderate weight. Like, you're a doctor, you know very well, muscle cells are comprised of different types of fibers. And biologically, we're all given kind of a deck of cards. Some people are more fast twitch, some people are more slow twitch, but we're all a mixture. And I think that all need to be tended to, you know?
And what about this hippie shit that you were talking about today on Instagram? Lengthening muscle.
The most recent episode that I just posted late last night was hippie lies and meathead lies. And I feel like, because I've been doing, I actually was reading this collection of stories about government censorship, and it opened my eyes to this modern movement that Xi Jinping and Putin particularly are very good at. And it's a whole new form of censorship that's based on, instead of restricting information, they overwhelm you with information, making nothing true, because the human brain can't process this wealth, this overwhelming kind of stream of information. And fitness and health, I think, is at that point.
Yeah. And
this overwhelming stream of information is getting people really confused unnecessarily. And I find it really disheartening, because I want people to be able to like extrude from training and nutrition all the benefits that go so far beyond, you know, 6-pack abs or anything like that. It's really so much more, and it gives you so much emotionally and psychologically. But everyone, not just like out of shape, what would be considered out of shape people, even really healthy people are so inundated with information, lots of it just bullshit.
Yeah.
that they can't even take the first step.
Look,
and I really feel strongly that it's the most of this information has been co-opted by hippie, like flowing robe ladies and man bun guy, or excessive, like vulgar buff CrossFit chicks and guys with like no neck.
Right.
And they just spew their fucking snake oil.
Right.
And it ruins everything.
Right. And I hope that the COVID experience has taught people that when it comes to clinical science, things are extremely fluid. There's nothing certain in anything. I mean, there's some things that you can sort of rely on, but generally to try to nuance every little thing, it's a moving target. It's multiple genetic sort of constituencies, you know, so you can't predict in any given individual. Just so much where people try to predict things from forget physiological standpoint, from a biochemical standpoint, they're just insane. There's no way you can do that.
Right.
There's no way.
And if anyone answers your questions in the world of human performance, health, or fitness, except for like 4 or 5 things.
Right.
If their answer isn't, well, I don't really know,
right, they're
full of shit.
Yeah,
if anyone is married to a very conclusive, objective answer to anything in that world, like I said, except for honestly a handful of stuff, which is like higher protein is beneficial for higher thermic rate of food. Lower calories helps with weight loss. Higher calories helps with weight gain. And resistance training is good for overall health. Outside of like that and a couple other things, the only answer anyone should have is like, well, let's see. Let's give it a I can give you my best hypothesis and let's see how it goes.
It's why I like Kate Shanahan so much. Her book is Deep Nutrition, because she's a extremely fine family practitioner and a serious scientist. She's a biochemist. And she said, and she looked at me and she goes, first time I met her, she goes, you gotta be kidding. Nutrition is way too complex to say anything. So there's like 3 or 4 things I can say. Don't use polyunsaturated fats. For sure.
Right.
Don't do that. That for sure. And she had like 2 or 3 other things. I forget exactly, but she, obviously fats are the big thing with her, and healthy fats versus not healthy fats. And and I thought, okay, here's somebody I can sort of listen to and talk with. And she actually thinks that the polyunsaturated fats are contributing to the cytokine storm with COVID. It's interesting.
I wouldn't be surprised, but it's so vastly outside of my pay grade that I honestly find it irresponsible when people are like, yep. I mean, to me, it makes sense, but who the fuck cares? I remember one time I was on Dr. Drew, your show on HLN, and there was some very controversial police interaction that ended up with, some violence. And I was on a panel with who was that lady, Dr. Drew, who used to have as a panelist quite often. She was Black woman, former LAPD for a long time. And then
shoot, her name just flew out of my head. It was literally right there when you said it. And I've seen her.
So she's there.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
Another
guy who was there who was
look up the book Black and Blue, Black and Blue, or Black and Blue. I think she called it.
And another guy that was there.
Sheila. Okay, go ahead.
Sheila.
Sheila.
Okay,
no.
So either way, she was there.
Yeah.
Another gentleman was there who was an LA County sheriff for like active duty and had been doing it for like 15 years, and then a handful of other people, and it gets around. They're having this discussion, and someone goes, "Mike, what do you think?" And I'm like, "What the fuck? Who cares what I think? I've never even sniffed the idea of confronting someone in a law enforcement capacity. And if I have, I've been on the receiving end,
right,
and I deserved it,
right,
and I was what I'm saying? Like, what is my opinion on proper police protocol? And I feel like the same thing goes with so many things in life, yet Instagram and YouTube have empowered so many people to just sprack off with bullshit. And you're like, well, why the fuck am I listening to you about COVID? High school dropout meathead,
right?
Well,
even more so, why people want to involve themselves in what goes on between a patient and a doctor. Why people have endless comments about what Joe Rogan and his doctors decided to do for Joe. That's between them. It's nobody else's business. Nobody. But
yes,
Cheryl. Her first name was Cheryl. The sergeant from LAPD, Cheryl.
So, Drew, do you want to take Clubhouse calls for Mike?
Cheryl.
Not really, but I will.
What's the chick from Dancing with the Stars?
Okay,
Cheryl.
maybe maybe we'll
Yeah.
have a
Well, you were on Dancing with the Stars. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'll look at what's the name of the book?
Black and Blue, I think it's called. Something like that. Cheryl, just look up. I can look up Cheryl Black and Blue.
She's real nice. I remember she was really smart, really nice.
Please, she's great. I've seen her many times since then. But talk to us about what the heck you're doing down in Texas right now.
I moved here, man. Literally today was move-in day.
Why? What happened?
So many things. It's kind of hard to summarize, but I'll try my best.
Okay.
My wife and I it's always been our plan.
Cheryl Dorsey. Cheryl Dorsey.
Cheryl Dorsey.
I just found it too.
It's always been our plan to move somewhere more rural, buy lots of land, have the freedom of roaming our land, having chickens and cows and doing the farm life. That was always in the books. We both assumed it would be in our 60s.
Right.
Not in our 40s.
Right.
And then COVID happened. And a couple things came out of the blue because of the lockdown. One was that I was no longer married to a job in Los Angeles. I didn't have a attached radio gig or a TV gig. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing was that Hollywood no longer will do in-person auditions.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do they not do in-person auditions, my wife has been doing chemistry tests via Zoom. People don't meet anymore. And no one films anything in Los Angeles anymore. A couple, network sitcoms and things like that. But by and large, most movies overwhelmingly and TV shows are filmed outside of LA. So my wife realized that she wasn't tethered to LA anymore. I did too. And my daughter was starting to have, and this is a completely nonpartisan, non-political statement, because I'm not someone who is like anti-mask, anti-vax or anything like that. But she was starting to encounter such aggressive measures in schooling in California, especially in LA County, that it was really harming her life. Things like LA County schools decided there's no longer going to be police on campus. That was they thought that it would make students feel safer. I don't know if there's students of color that is the truth. All I know is that in Venice, California, not having LAPD on campus for my daughter made me go, fuck that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is, so we started seriously looking to move somewhere else. Then we realized how much we could buy in comparison to LA in Texas, in really nice parts of Texas. Then we realized that there's no sales tax. Then we realized how much
further your money goes.
Yeah, in general, when we looked at the consequence and dividend of everything, it was a much better choice for our life.
Yeah.
And so we did it. We pulled the trigger.
And how long did it take to make that decision? Was it something you thought about for months and months, or was it all of a sudden? Or?
No. We casually thought about it. So we came out and we just booked a vacation to Austin because we have a battery of friends out here. We weren't married to Austin. It could have been, we were looking at Marfa, we were looking at Waco, all these different places. But we have a battery of friends here in Austin. And we, over the weekend, we came out, we hung out with them. And that weekend, before we got back on the plane to come back to LA, found a couple houses and put bids and the whole thing. And it was like, boom.
And how, now that you're there, how do you look back at California?
I still love it. I'm not one of these guys that's like, fuck, it's terrible. No, it's not. It's just, it's untenable. LA is a beautiful, amazing, just vibrant, cultural, just exceptionally beautiful place. It just wasn't designed for 12 million people. And although I do think that Los Angeles government, municipal government, and the state government has made tremendously, just ridiculously grievous mistakes, I also see that their hands are tied in a lot of ways. I mean, homelessness is a perfect example. Do I think that they've handled it well? No, I don't. But what the fuck are you going to do when thousands of people day in and day out are just coming there and living on the street? You can't, we can't, it's not, we don't live in Logan's Run. We can't off them. We can't just scoop them up and ship them somewhere. I mean, these are human beings. What do you do? And crime and poverty, you know what I'm saying? Like these, I almost, in one way, I want to be critical where I think they should be held accountable. In other ways, I do feel like their hands are tied. And
whose?
The California and specifically Los Angeles government.
As far as
like there's just like, what are you gonna do? Everyone loves to bitch and moan about
the mentally ill on the streets, or the lack
mentally
of
ill on the streets.
No problem.
Low performing schools in low income neighborhoods and stuff.
Actually, easy solves. All easy solves. If you immediately expand conservatorship, restore gravely disabled, undo Prop 47, Prop 57, AB 109, build large residential programs, which we have space for and staff for, spend all those funds on which we have billions of dollars sitting on the sideline, ready to go to operate these units. In California, you can't touch anybody with mental illness. You can't get near them. You can't treat them. You can't help them unless they say, I desperately want help, and then continue to say that, which is not how mental illness works. It's not how it works.
Look, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. You're a doc. You're an MD. You know much more about this than I do. But one thing I do know is mental illness. I know it firsthand.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know addiction firsthand.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, I'm in recovery, and I'm as desperate a drug addict as there is.
And what is left to your own devices, you will, if you in your disease, you will use until you die. If you're given that opportunity. Correct. So you have to not let that happen. That's murder. That's called murder.
I understand that.
And you need to put things in place that move people in the right direction, motivate them to do what they need to do, not allow them to die.
I'm here to tell you, Dr. Drew, I'm telling you, I know this beyond a shadow of a doubt. Unfortunately, I can't say this with any objective evidence. All I know is from me and from the thousands of other people I know in recovery is that there's zero way for some outside source to do that.
No, there's not zero way.
Someone has to come to that.
It does, but what gets people, I know your story, of course, I know very well, and you had a very specific kind of an experience at your bottom, but most people, they start to see things as they are when they have loss of freedom, loss of family, loss of resources, that cumulative loss. So you have to, if you prevent that from happening, they'll die. Occasionally somebody will get better, but that's rare.
There are, just in Los Angeles alone, I don't even want to get into the world or the United States, just in LA alone.
Yeah.
There are so many men and women that have nothing left to lose. Mm-hmm. They are born, did you see Joker?
Yeah.
Okay. Regardless of what you thought of that as a cinematic piece, it touched on something and illuminated something that is very real and very important. That there are people from day one that are born with zero attachment to anything within the normal social circles. They have no love and nurture. They have no fucking support from their government. They have no money. They have no education. And that is a lot of people. And I know very well when I used to walk down Venice Beach and I'd see these guys and I'd look in their eyes, these 21-year-old kids, and I'd be like, fuck, the only thing that separates me from you is that I had a set of parents that was there to be like, we'll do whatever we take, and 25 grand at the ready to fucking wipe my ass with whenever I got myself in too deep.
Right.
And that's just, that's reality.
And so you're making a case for us putting forces in place that improve the health of families, which absolutely, that's another solution. Right. And for those people that are sick now, who are disconnected, I don't believe that they are beyond reach. Because I've seen it work. They're still human beings, and they have major obstacles to being able to accept and have, unless they have an attachment disorder, which is very common, happens too. Even then, there are things we can do to intervene to help them manage things. But if you don't start to manage it, where is it going? You see where it's going. It's going to people dying. It progresses into death, and I don't think that's okay. It's literally like
I don't think that enough people, regardless of race, religion, social class, I don't think enough Americans really recognize that the absolute number one problem that we have in this country is mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is that, social issues are like weeds. You can trim away at them all you want, and it doesn't do shit.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get to the root of it.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's violence, be it gun violence or just, online assaults with words, all of it stems back to mental health in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And we are a country of suffering people. Let me put it this way.
But guess what they do in other countries with mental illness?
What?
Treat it. They take care of it. It's like any other illness. They treat it. They don't put laws in place that make it impossible to treat it. That's what we're doing.
I certainly, you see a side of it that I don't, being that you're an actual MD. I don't know, and I can assume, and you and I have talked about it on and off the air, that you have handcuffs on you as an MD that you shouldn't have, and I am sympathetic to that. But I also think that a bigger issue that a lot of people don't like to talk about, and why? Because it's defeatist. But I think a lot of the problem is that in other countries they treat it. In other countries they aren't Americans. Americans are fucking nuts,
yes.
And we all have this John Wayne ethic of like, I'm not going to the therapist. I'm not going to do that. They will take a pill, which of course exacerbates the problem more often than not.
Sometimes, yeah. So to your point, we don't have that much more mental illness than the rest of the world. We let it run out of control until it kills people. We do that here.
Well, I will push back a little bit. Well, I was having a conversation with my friend, a nice civil disagreement about gun violence. Mm-hmm. And I'm a gun owner and I'm a pro-gun guy. I'm not a gun nut. I understand gun violence is very serious in this country, and I get that. But I was kind of talking pro-gun. He was very anti-gun, and he said, "Do you know how many more gun murders there are in this country than anywhere else in the world?" Mm-hmm. I was like, "I don't. I'm sure it's more." And he showed me the statistics, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, no, we have a lot more violence.
Okay,
a lot more.
I went home after, I conceded to him. I was like, "Okay, that's concerning." I went home and I started researching it. Close to 70% of them are fucking suicide. That's the country we live in.
Mm-hmm. But hang on.
Okay,
but understand,
that is the level that we are suffering so much, is that many people are putting a gun in their mouth and pulling the trigger, and God only knows how many people are on the fucking precipice.
But again, you're talking about completed suicides. In terms of suicides generally, we have more completed suicides because we have more guns. And so you're making the case that we have more suicides than elsewhere in the world, which I think is probably true, but it's not as true as the differential in completed suicides because of guns. Okay.
Fair enough.
And so, but we do, but here, let me having pushed back, let me now make your case even stronger, which is this country is populated by people who thought it was a good idea to get on a galley, spend 4 weeks at sea, and probability of survival low, to get over here to fight elements and indigenous people and God knows what else. I think I'm going to go do that. I mean, that's only the craziest people in the alcoholics that did that. And they came in, and a lot of the really serious ones, there's a book called Albion Seed that talks about the wild, the seriously wild cultures that came in from the Highlands in England into the Carolinas. Super, super crazy people came here. And then the craziest of them said, I'm going to put my family in a wagon and take them into that Indian territory. That's what I'm going to do. And so it's no wonder to me that more of the stuff, the violence and the mass killings and stuff, happens in the West, because we are populated by amongst the craziest came our way.
Yeah. Oh, and then sprinkle in the Irish and Mexicans, and you know what I'm saying? Like, just the most hardcore people that had to suffer the most preposterous levels of adversity.
Right. And
so it's like, the number one reason why America is so great is because we're all fucking gnarly. The number one reason why America is suffering is because we're also fucking gnarly.
Right.
And I'm just saying, like, there's this cultural aspect. Everyone's so quick to, when you go to an Italian restaurant or you go to Italy and the maitre d's flirting with your mom in like the most egregious way, and you're like, oh, those Italians, they're just, they're very passionate. You go to France and everyone's drinking wine at 1 p.m. and it's like, that's the French. That's just, that's what it is. That's what it is. No one just wants to, like, Americans are fucking crazy. And I do mean that in a happy way. I don't mean that but America, we're way more aggressive. We're way more violent. We're way more fucking daring, I think, than most of it's a cultural aspect of our country. And everyone likes to point out to these like theoreticals. And I don't see enough people just being like, yes, that is true. We're cowboys and we're pilgrims and we're, foundational Black Americans that were brought here on slave ships and raped and hung. That's your great grandparents. Like, we all are this weird goulash of the most intense populations the world has ever seen. And you bring it into this area and give us freedom, theoretical freedom. And it's like, yeah, I just feel like there's got to be a way we can embrace that freedom and not sacrifice any more of it, which I do think is dangerous, while also dealing head on with the fact that it's making us crazy.
Right. So, obviously I have some agreement with what you're saying in terms of, I don't disagree with the construct of our sort of, our constitutional makeup is already in a certain direction, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be taking care of mental illness. Bottom line, we should be taking care of it, and we have money to do it. We have resources to do it. We put laws in place to prevent it. And that's insane. That's beyond insane. It's the only country in the world that does that. So here we are. So there's that, so that's one aspect of California. The other thing you mentioned, we did a long diatribe about mental health, is property values and things like that, which we could also improve. We could also improve that. We have put so much regulation on development here that it's impossible to build things. So it's so expensive to build the housing for the homeless. It's literally $750,000 a unit, not because it costs more to build in California. It's the regulation that prevents us from entering the marketplace. So we could undo that.
That's, what bugs me, a big thing that bugs me about California. And I'm decently educated in the realm of economics, but I will admit this is outside of my a lot of my knowledge base. So I don't want to go into any area where I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about. But the corporate collusion in this country is a bad problem. The corporate collusion in California makes my skin. It hurts.
What do you mean by collusion? What does that mean?
What do I mean by that? You just got through saying, if you and Bob Forrest or fucking one of your buddies wanted to get together and build housing for homeless with a built-in pro bono fucking rehab center. Impossible, because you don't have liquid $17 million to pay for all the regulations, real estate value, and everything. If Coca-Cola wanted to tomorrow, with a way that they could get some type of revenue stream out of it, be done, and California would pay them.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? If Bianca and I move back to California, and we're like, you know what, we want to move back to California, but we're going to move to Central California. We're going to open up a farm. Okay. We wouldn't be able to do the mom and pop farm thing, but you better fucking believe if there was a 6,000 acre farm that, there was going to be some subsidy for soy and growth and that, and GE or whoever the fuck, Kellogg's was going to open it. The state of California would get on their knees and blow them.
So what you're talking about, what you're talking about is not, the who's in control of the state is really what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Which is the other thing you mentioned, which was the quality of the education, and that's the teachers union who are in control of the state.
Yeah.
And they are not interested in the quality of the students or what happens to the students. They're interested in the interest of their union.
It's really tough because, like, I think justifiably we should all worship at the altar of teachers, especially public school teachers. I mean, it's just the most beautiful idea that you're going to invest your effort into the education of the youth, because that really is a cornerstone of how you develop a society,
of course,
right? Educating people.
Of course.
But the unions of teachers, especially in California, are starting to like hold people for ransom, and
That's right. It's exactly
it's
right.
odd, you know.
And then let's add in all their green policies, which God bless them, great. But then literally everything they put in place gets undone in one day of fires up in Northern California. The amount of carbon belched into the air from a week of these fires is way more than a year's worth of carbon produced by the state. And they do nothing. All they have to do is forestry management. But they stopped it because it interfered with the migration of a mouse. So what's the plan, California? What's the plan? Do you really want to make things better, or are you just going to stay, you know, sort of, as you say, in that collusive relationships?
I have the problem with me too is like I don't want to make it seem like I'm just some regular Joe blue collar dude who I grew up in a very affluent neighborhood. I'm not trying to portray myself like some Bruce Springsteen figure, but I am a guy who I never had any aspirations to be rich and famous. I always wanted to be a little league dad. That was it. That's all I don't want or desire to have lofty success and fame, especially in like the entertainment industry. And so for me, when I would go out of my way to surround myself with the people that I felt I related to, you know, most of my friends are manual, you know, working construction, cops, firemen, lots of firemen, military, whatever it is, you know. And through my wife, of course, I have very close friends that are actors and stuff. I'm not trying to say like I hate Hollywood, but what I do dislike is that tech and Hollywood have just taken control of a state that, for those of you who don't know, California is really a red state that's just got these two gigantic wealthy blue spots just jammed right on top of it. And the 1,000 miles of California that's mostly farmland and truck drivers and regular folks, they have to be beholden to the mass amounts of money that's generated in LA and San Francisco in the tech. And it fucking bugs me, man.
I get that. And so nothing really has changed in your view of all that since you left the state.
No, but what has changed, at least in the small time that I've been here, is that I always knew that I loved California and Los Angeles. I did. What has changed is like leaving it, I really started to realize like the little things that I'm going to miss, you know, like it's there. I mean, like I said, I don't want to sound like some guy who's just going to take a big shit on California or LA, because I still love it and I miss it. And it's who I am. It's part of my culture. You know, very few people are from LA, but I am. And it's just that the only reason I sound so passionate about it is because I do give a shit. And I don't like to see this, you know, it's the end of the line. America was built on the idea of pushing the frontier. And where did that end? The fucking Pacific Ocean, you know, and California and Oregon and Washington, they are the end of the line. And it was for pretty much all of the 20th century, this beacon of hope and development for this country. And now it's just, I don't know. It's really disappointing, man. And this is what I like to say. And I always remind myself of this too. I have to, in my head, remind myself of this. We just talked about teachers, and military is the same way. I'd like to get mad at institutions, and it has very little to do with the people who are actually doing the work. It's like a handful of people behind the scenes. If you don't like United States military invasions and colonizations and things like that, sure, I get that. But it's not the poor Marine's fault or the Army Ranger who actually has to go out and do the work. It's like 10 dudes in, you know, the Joint Chief of Staff or somewhere in the Pentagon that are making these decisions. You know what I'm saying? It's the same with teachers. It's like you can get mad at the teachers union and all that. It's really like 20 people, the thousands of teachers who are actually in there slaving away trying to teach kids, they have nothing to do with that. It's like the Karens you see online who are yelling at the cashier behind the counter because they don't want to wear a mask. It's like, It's not that 20-year-old kid's fault. They're just at work. It's the policy of some fucking corporate shit that you don't even have any. You have no way of getting in that person's face. So you're just taking it out on this poor person who has nothing to do with it. They're just trying to get through the day.
Yeah, I agree with you. So did Rudy come with you?
I can see if he's around because, yeah, he was on lockdown with me. So he had to come to Texas.
I figured he followed you down there. And actually, I think Texas is closer to where he grew up or where some of his family was. If I remember that, let's see.
Where is Rudy?
Rudy's coming.
Rudy.
So, Doc,
hey man, how you been?
It's been hectic, dog. I never thought I'd move to the Lone Star State.
Well, isn't Texas closer to where your family, where you sort of grew up? Then were you in Chihuahua or something?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's closer or not because listen, my family's in East LA, so you could,
right.
No,
I mean your
lineage,
roots.
lineage or whatever is in Cuernavaca. It's way the fuck down.
Okay. I thought it was Chihuahua for some reason. No, you used to buy meth from somebody in Chihuahua, or cook meth or something, didn't you?
No, my uncle Javier has a ranch in Juarez, dog.
Right.
Remember Panocha Grande?
Panocha Grande is there. Right. That's right. Panocha Grande is there. I knew it was down there somewhere. Well, near where you are, you can go visit Panocha Grande.
Oh, it's amazing, dog. He has leather everything. He has a leather helicopter, leather toothbrush, the whole shit.
Nice, man. I say you can go visit him. But so, how you doing? I mean, are you finding work down there in Texas?
Right now, I'm just chilling. Letting Mike and Bianca take care of me and my kids. But
you got kids all down there too?
Yeah, I brought some of them.
Ooh, how many are there?
That's like Home Alone. I don't really know if they all made it, but eventually I'll find out.
Is Sad Girl there?
Oh yeah, she's there right now. She's with Bianca at the real house.
Oh, they get.
But I came with Mike.
They sound like they're getting kind of close.
Yeah, I guess, but I think Sad Girl secretly hates Bianca because she's thin with the fat ass, and my wife still has the fupa.
I thought.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I thought that the when you sprinkled the scranta on her eggs, that took care of the.
Scante.
I beg your pardon. Scrante. I thought that was the end of the fupa. I thought that was.
No. You're right. When I was putting meth secretly, surreptitiously.
Ooh,
that's what I learned in
GED. Look at you.
I would secretly put it in her food and her horchata and shit. She lost 180 pounds, but you told me that it was not good for her, that meth could make her crazy. And I was like, maybe. And then when she stabbed my aunt, Lupe, I told you that's when I pulled the plug.
Right. And you
she put all the weight back on.
No,
she's healthy in her mind, but she put the weight back on.
But I thought you were thinking about getting back in again. You were sort of worrying about her. And last time we spoke, you were talking about putting meth back into her horchata.
No, I got the virtual reality like a Fifi. You know what that is, Doug? It's like a tube that's soft for your pito.
Okay. A Fifi, yeah.
And you can put your penis in it. But now I have glasses that I wear that it's virtual reality. So it's like I could be having sex with Eva Mendes or
Rudy,
Warren Sapp or whoever I'm into,
Rudy, you gotta listen to me.
Okay.
Do not let Catherwood get a hold of those glasses. I want him to survive down there. I want to see him again someday. And I'll never see him again if you get him in.
One time I left him out because it's like I have to put him in like a gun locker, because Mike's so gross. One time I left him out and I came home and I opened, like in Saved by the Bell or like Welcome Back Kotter or some shit.
Yeah.
Like the old shows with the high school. They would go to the jock's locker and they open it and shit would just fly out.
Right, sure.
I opened the door and Mecos just...
No, come on. Do
It
you
just,
watch?
like blew me away.
Do you
like
watch
Raging Waters.
Do you watch?
And then
yeah, do we watch?
he was
what?
in there.
He was
like
in there,
naked,
and he was in the locker.
Yeah, no, he was like a Bronzino, all crusted.
Oh
With his
no!
own love.
So did he understand that he's got to like get it together? Because he didn't divulge this. He didn't tell me that happened to him. He must have been ashamed.
Like, look, he's still, I'm pretty sure he still gives it to his wife and stuff. He's still
No, I
healthy.
understand. I get it, but if he had unlimited access to Eva Mendes, as you said, or somebody, whoever he wants on the Magic Glasses.
I know, for real.
His
dog.
wife would lose track of him for a while. I understand. He loves his wife.
Speaking of Eva Mendes, I'm just getting done with that court case, because Ryan Gosling put what do they call that? Like a restraining order on me because of all the shit I was talking and how I was threatening him. And it turns out you can like threaten to kill someone and take his wife away like once, and the police get all upset. It's like no strikes for that one.
What had happened? What happened there?
I just, I was letting Eva Mendes know, like leaving her letters at her house in Beverly Hills. I was like, Gosling's little Mickey Mouse Club Canadian pito can't get it done. You need some good grass-fed Mexican meat.
A good thing we got you out of. Good thing we got you down to Texas, right? Good thing we got you down there.
Yeah. So now I've tapered off on that. You know what I'm saying, Paul?
And so basically, what happened as a result?
Well, I had to go to court and I had to get an attorney, and I talked to Mira Carolla, and he got me.
You did?
Tom Geronimo or whatever that fucking dude's name, the homie's name.
The guy with the long gray hair.
The vato, the attorney.
Yeah. Garagos. Okay, yeah.
And he came in and he talked the judge down, so I didn't have to go to jail.
Oh, that's good. Okay, that's good.
But
wow.
So now I just have a community service, so I have to fly back to LA.
And so
once a month.
Are you looking for work there?
Yeah, full day of Jamba Juice here.
Okay.
I could, transfer over.
Yeah, you should do that, don't you think? You were managing last time we talked. You actually managed.
That's right, in Pacoy, my dog.
Yeah.
I was balling it up, managing.
You brought me some.
I had that one incident where I got fired for a little bit. I was suspended, but I wasn't fired
because you were handing out wheatgrass to your friends.
When people would ask for an extra wheatgrass shot, I was giving them weed, and it was working out real good. Like that one movie with McDreamy where they would order extra anchovies, and he would come over and give them some dick. It's like code word. You would come over to my Jamba Juice and you would say, "Hey, can I get extra wheatgrass?" And I thought that meant you wanted an eighth of wheat. Turns out some old lady just wanted wheatgrass, and then I was in big trouble.
I do remember that. And so, are you staying off the meth yourself?
Oh, 20 years, dog. I haven't touched that shit, dog.
And sad girl. She's had no residual of the meth you fed her.
Nah, I mean, every once in a while she starts like picking at scabs that aren't there, saying there are bugs in her arms and shit. But she seems normal now.
Hey, speaking of that, I wonder if you have any insight into that dude that was seen in a domestic violence incident by the cops on their camera, and then the girl ends up dead. Any thoughts about that?
Oh yeah, the hyena that was doing Instagram and shit.
Right.
It's real sad, fool. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I'm gonna break serious for a second, dog.
Okay. All right.
I grew up in a hectic environment. I grew up around violence, and I grew up in a household where like you saw domestic violence, and it's like it's the most disgusting, dishonorable thing you can do, dog. Like I still have close friends that have murdered a man. They're not proud of it, but when they were younger, they got put into a position where that was, and now they paid their dues, and I can still hang with that fool. I don't even want to be around the guy who thinks it's a good idea to raise his hands to a woman. And if you look, I mean, I'm sorry to point out something that's so disgusting, dog. But if you look, like a lot of times, guys who are doing domestic violence end up following through and murdering a lady.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And you ladies, I just hope you can, no matter how much you think he loves you,
that's right,
you got to get out.
Especially with alcohol or stimulants. All right.
Here's another thing, fool. How the fuck, after 250 years of this country, and Pretty much every fucking bad, violent thing that's happened has been fueled by alcohol
and meth.
I
Those
mean,
two.
don't get the meth. Meth makes even a yogi into a violent
That's
person.
right.
But
That's right. But you're absolutely right.
how the fuck can you
100%.
just walk down and get some alcohol right now? But weed has never made nobody hit anybody. In fact, it probably stopped like a lot of fights.
I agree.
And you can't do that?
Yeah, that's right. So one of the reasons I was asking about that case is if you look at the male, the perpetrator in this thing,
that fool, yeah,
he has picking on his face as it moves along. And so I thought,
let me tell you something.
Mm.
I'm not gonna be the guy who quit using drugs that goes around telling people how to live their life.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that meth, more so than anything, can turn you into a different person.
Yep.
Of course, alcohol can and cocaine and all that shit. But meth will turn a God-fearing moral person into a real killer. I'm not kidding you, fool.
No, listen, alcohol and other things can do that. Meth does that. You know what I mean?
Here's what I say about alcohol. Like, if you're not already an asshole, it's not gonna make you an asshole.
Right, it just makes you more of an asshole. If you're
like
an asshole.
empowers the asshole fumes. Right. It's like asshole turbo. You know what I'm saying?
So I got a couple other things. What else did I want to ask you about that I needed some updates on? Shoot.
Hey, follow me on Instagram, everybody. Culo Breaker at Culo Breaker.
That is literally
that ass.
That is actually his Instagram. And your buddies like Cricket and
Lil Cricket's good.
Yeah.
Ceiling Fan. Noam Chomsky.
Little Cricket.
That Vato Spatula. The homie from Pacoima, that Vato Game Boy, the Vato Box Light.
Are they missing you? You're away from
Mud Flaps.
You're away from all those guys now, Cricket and Mud Flaps.
Yeah, but there's so many brown people in Texas. It's crazy.
Oh, nice.
I'll be fine.
Okay, good. Gosh, the last thing I had just escaped me. It was going to be as Culo Breaker. So Susan put it up there on the restream here. So
thanks, Susan. Beautiful Susan. If you ever need a cinnamon Brad Pitt, I'll be right there for you. Give you some love.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Hey, did you tell Simone the message I gave her?
Simone Bien? No, I don't know.
Simone Bien, because I put it up on my Instagram. In 1998, the Spice Girls came to LA, and they were I was down by the Staples Center, and they came to LA, and they were on the bus, and they were like, "Oh, look at that brown fellow! Oh, we must get some love from that brown fellow." So I went on the bus with them, and one of the hyenas took me in the back of the bus, and she goes, "Put it in my fanny." And so I put it in her culo because that's where I come from. You know what I'm saying? I hit it like a soldier.
All right.
Little did I know in England, that's your vagina. So I just wanted to make sure she doesn't, go out on the town asking for her fanny to get rocked.
I see. I understand. Yeah, I see what you're saying. A couple things. I didn't know you had such a great British accent. That's pretty amazing.
Thankful.
Yeah. B, the goggles. I'm really worried about Catherwood getting his hands on those goggles. You already told me a horror story about what happened to him just in his brief capture.
Maybe I can just let him use it for how when you catch your kid smoking, you'd be like, well, now just smoke the whole pack. Yeah. Maybe I could bleed all his love out of him. Just let him have it for a week.
Good luck with that. And then one last thing before we go, when you talk about Culo Breaker, maybe explain to people that haven't met Rudy before what happened in prison that sort of gave you that moniker.
I had a cellmate, Trucha, and he was a real pipe hitting vato. He would really do damage to your behind. And of course, he wanted to love me because I'm, honey glazed and beautiful. And so he would do that to me in my butt. And at first, I didn't want that. But after a while, we talked about it, Drew. I got Stockholm butthole.
That's right.
Where I started to miss it, So it was very damaging. It was trauma.
Yeah,
in many ways.
now-
Trauma to my butt skin, and then
No,
trauma to my brain.
I understand, and the Stockholm butthole is now a well-described clinical syndrome.
It's a real thing. It's in DSM-6 or whatever the fuck.
Stockholm butthole. Well, Rudy, it's great to see you thriving down there. I suggest let's get on that with the Jamba Juice. Let's get things going again. And
right,
best to Sad Girl, and get me Catherwood back here if you could.
All right, fool.
All right, thanks, man. See you soon. Susan, that's Rudy. Yeah.
We've met before.
You've met him before. That's right.
I mean,
You ever met him in person?
on a show, but
Well,
people loved him. He was
don't
very
take
nice.
away. I want to talk to Mike. I'm not
I know. I'll bring him back.
Ceiling fan. People like Ceiling fan's name. Somebody just spit their coffee out. Casey did. Casey Gaines did. How about
All
that?
right.
Hey.
It's me, Manny Ramirez.
Oh.
All right, Dr. Drew.
What the hell?
All right,
Manny,
Manny Ramirez.
What's-
I have a horn.
what's
Hooray.
going on? You're in Texas now, Manny?
Manny Ramirez come to Texas. Manny Ramirez playing baseball in Japan.
Do you have
Manny
a,
Ramirez like it so much. Go down Australia, come to Texas, go say hello, Mike Catherwood. All right.
do you
Hooray.
still ride your Vespa?
I rode my Vespa all the way from Tokyo to Texas.
And Manny, I noticed you have an interesting accent. Where'd you grow up?
Manny Ramirez grew up by Columbus Circle, but somehow I talk like someone who come to this country yesterday. I don't understand.
I don't
it's like
either.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he lived Austria in 1955. Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you talk to him today. He said,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. He's got an accent, but yours is particularly unique, I thought. So
That's right. Manny Ramirez, when government asked Manny Ramirez if he used steroid, Manny Ramirez say, I can't speak English.
it must have been a household that was unilingual Spanish, I guess. Even though you were in New York, you weren't speaking English.
That's right.
Yeah.
Manny Ramirez grew up around mostly people who can't speak English.
Well, Manny, get Mike Catherwood if you would for a second. I was hoping
All
to
right.
talk to you.
I
All right,
love
thank
you,
you, Manny.
Dr. Drew.
Manny, great to see you again. I appreciate it very,
Bye-bye.
very much. Bye-bye, buddy. Woo! You miss Manny? You miss Mike? Hey, Mike. Had a nice time with Rudy, I got to tell you.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
I like the Fanny story.
Yeah, he got confused about what a fanny was when he was talking to the Spice Girls. So, and with all his trucha, did I pronounce it trucha?
Trucha, yeah.
Trucha, fanny immediately his head, that's where it went. He didn't realize in Britain it's not the same thing. But what are you gonna do? I hope he doesn't get any trouble for that. So, do you watch What We Do in the Shadows?
I don't. I have seen it. And Bianca was very close to being a part of it. She had like a couple callbacks and chemistry reads and everything, but and very, very, very good show. I've watched like the first 3 episodes, but I did not continue on with it. I honestly don't watch TV, and it's not because I'm so intellectual. It's just especially during the lockdown, my life shifted in so many ways. I just don't really do it.
If she does get a part, please, I must do a set visit. Please. I just love that show. I love all that.
Can you get Drew on the show?
yeah, I would do. I'd give anything to do a cameo on that. All right.
I'm waiting for Bianca. Come on.
Hey, listen. Last time Bianca was on a network show, they got fucking Drew on the show.
Yep.
And then as like an afterthought, Bill Lawrence is like, well, you want Mike to, I mean, I guess we could figure out a way to put fucking Mike in. Like, listen, our last job together at KABC, I got that job.
It's right.
They offered me a job in radio. And then like 6 months later, they're like, hey, do you think you could get Drew to come over with you? I'm like, what? I'm not just a.
Sorry.
Okay.
Not my intention. But I've been thinking about Bill lately because we're watching Ted Lasso.
You have good karma, Mike.
So Susan,
Bill must have. I think Bill, last time I checked, now has all of money. It's just he has all money.
All of money and all of scripted television. Period.
Yeah. No, you can't. Do you understand? I don't think people truly understand how crazy it is for a man to have to be the showrunner and creator of 6 super successful shows, sometimes 3 running at once.
Yeah.
He must have all money.
Yeah. And so Susan Bill, who was the executive producer of the show that Mike and I were on, with Bianca was on, that we were, remember the live show we did?
Yes.
Yeah.
Undateable, yeah.
He produces, or he's EP of Ted Lasso.
Oh.
Yeah, I see his name.
for
I can't
him.
think he's
I like Bill a lot. Bill
and I
Lawrence
was
is a
gonna
good
say,
dude. Him and his
the
wife
greatest-
Krista, yeah.
And both of them greatest people. You know what I mean? Just great people, which is, again, and sometimes success, as you say, just makes people more of who they are. You know?
Yeah, and the thing I like about Bill is that, especially in Hollywood, people try to be like sheepish and bashful about being kind of upper crust, and Bill's like, no, I like tennis and sweaters and polo, and I'm the whitest guy ever.
But I would tell you though that I think he forgets sometimes. Like I was talking about going to New York with him or meeting him or something. He goes, "Oh yeah, we'll go to this side. We'll take the Blade helicopter over to Long Island." I'm like, relax, dude.
Oh yes, and that was the day that I realized there's rich and then there's important rich, like where Bianca was on Undateable, and it was her third or fourth network sitcom. She had made a tremendous amount of money, and we were at the time both making good money. We were wealthy compared to Earth, right? We get to New York City, and it's Chris D'Elia, Ron Funches, and Brent, and we're all there, and they're like, okay, so how are we going to get from the airport to? And Bill's like, all right, guys, see you later. And we're like, where are you going? He's like, well, I'm going to a different tarmac so that the helicopter can take me to the Hamptons. And you're like, oh,
yeah, it's that.
That's okay. Now I get it. I mean, I'd never really been exposed to that kind of money.
I was there when he had that conversation, I think, with you, and because that's my memory of it anyway. And he dealt with it as though it was no different than you taking an Uber to the airport or something,
like a cab.
Was he using the Blade?
No, it was even a different system.
He had
than
his
Blade.
own
It was like
helicopter.
Blade. Yeah. Oh, this dog is going to the back room there. That's never good.
It's fine.
Is Chris okay? I mean, you and I both had great affection for him, liked him, and they had some difficulties.
Chris D'Elia it's a very interesting case, and I know I'm treading on thin ice, even addressing anyone who was entangled in like Me Too stuff. But Chris D'Elia, I still am openly his friend, and I still talk to him, and and I just think like there's no excusing, being a dog, and there's no excusing engaging in even those conversations with an underage girl. But to create this narrative that he's like a predator is I think is a bit misguided, and I think in a weird way it has been good for him though, because this was the only way he was going to change, and he really is like he's just a dad now, and he loves his wife, and he lives a very kind of peaceful fatherly husband life, and I just don't know if a guy who is successful as he was, as handsome and charismatic as he was, if he would have ever stopped just banging a new chick every night.
And Whitney sort of shut him out a little bit too. Is that healing at all, or is that just a permanent?
Yeah, I mean, I just honestly, I don't even know enough about that to even comment. I don't know if it'd be appropriate for me to even address it, because I don't know. But I have been casually in contact with her too, and my wife and her became friendly on Undateable. So I just don't know.
And Bianca's good?
Bianca's good. Bianca's had a hard time with the lockdown.
Why?
It really affected her. And I don't want to, because I know there's probably people, not alone, let alone the thousands and thousands of people in the world, but people listening that have had tremendously difficult adversity to deal with because of the lockdown. And Bianca has had most of it, though it has been psychological. She's had a very hard time having her. I don't think she really realized how absent she was from like the important things in life. She always fancied herself someone who could manage the Hollywood thing and still be connected with her emotional self, her daughter, her husband. And I think having it all taken away from her made her really realize like how I guess vacuous she was in certain regards that she never assumed that she was, and how painful it was for her to come to grips with that.
Was that something you were aware of and were trying to raise her awareness of, or?
Yes,
because I would
but
say
only
from,
slightly.
I got to say
slightly.
from an outsider's perspective, that's surprising to hear. I didn't
Yeah,
see that at
well,
all.
because to me it was a bit of a shock too, because Bianca was never the type of person who was like super conscious and concerned of like her appearance or like her image on Instagram and things like that. But you know, I guess she just thought it was part of the business to constantly check deadline and to be in competition with other people. And she thought like she was growing old gracefully and it wasn't affecting her. And I think that a lot of this stuff came into more clarity, and she got a better realization of like how much she had attached herself to the idea of the Hollywood machine, the rather rancid aspect of Hollywood, as opposed to the beautiful side of Hollywood, which is, you know, acting in and of itself. The art form of acting is beautiful, and we all love watching shows and theater and movies. It's amazing. It's one of the most beautiful aspects of being a human, that we can create things specifically just to be observed. But the machine of Hollywood is gross. It's really bad, you know?
Well, please, to send our best. We're actually coming down to Austin on a semi-regular basis starting soon, so we got to have dinner with you guys.
Yeah, of course. And you've got to come out to the ranch, man.
100%.
I love that we're close enough to Austin that we can go into downtown Austin whenever we want, but we're far enough away that like we're in the cut. I have 8 acres and I live on a farm. Do
you run the farm, or do you have somebody else run it? I mean,
I'm not like fucking selling bison meat. I have like a couple chickens and shit, you know, and I have some,
but you're not,
and
like,
we have the pens and everything for horses and all that, but we've only, all we have are just a handful of chickens.
You're not
right
raising
now. We're going to add
Brussels sprouts or wheat or something. You're not farming.
Maybe carrots. I don't want to make, first off, I don't want to have animals that I eat because I can't do that. And I don't want to stop eating beef. If I look in a cow's eyes, I'll stop eating beef, and I don't want to do that. I love it too much.
Okay. And somebody's asking for us to go back on Fighter and the Kid. What's going on with them?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'll call. It's weird with Brendan. Like, it's either come in 4 times this week, or I'll get back to you, and then I don't talk to him for 6 months.
I noticed that. He was like, we got to do our own pillow talk for 90 Day Fiance. I'm going to call you this afternoon.
Well, I'm sure you could relate to it because he's one of those guys who has like 11 jobs.
Yeah. No, I don't take it personally at all. I did notice it's kind of his thing. But we should do that. We should, because I really enjoy those guys, and we had fun doing it last time. So every time we do it, it's fun. So, all right, Susan, anything else from your standpoint?
I just flipped his hat the opposite way because it said Sylvia.
Civilly. She flipped you around.
I was like,
it says Elvis, and I got this used,
in Memphis.
but it's from Graceland.
Yeah,
okay.
In Memphis. Good.
I was like, oh, damn. Oh, well, everybody, I got it right at the end.
Let me just look at my restream here, all the chats. People generally liked hearing from Rudy today, which was nice. Rudy,
I wish people liked me as much as people liked Rudy, including Bianca.
Including Susan. I think Susan kind of was a little more into Rudy.
Tells it like it is. Somebody was calling you potty mouth because you use the F word a lot. So that was the only.
I am a potty mouth, and you know what? I'm not one of those guys that's like, deal with it.
I know.
I shouldn't cuss so much. I mean, it's definitely one of those shortcomings that I wish I had better control over. But I am. I'm a potty mouth, and I shouldn't be such a potty mouth.
You can say the F word on radio, right?
On radio?
Yeah, but I also, just in general, I don't think that you shouldn't ever cuss, because I think that a properly placed F-bomb or something here and there can really add to a comedic line or something.
Sure.
But I also think that excessive cussing is really kind of tasteless.
Well, I'm looking at people's comments, and they really enjoy.
Oh, well, listen, I received Minor Ruby's comment. Mike, it's okay to kill and eat things as long as you respect the animal. I hunt. I love killing and eating things, and I have great reverence for the animal. I don't want to kill and eat a cow because they're such sweet little meaty things. I will kill a deer or a pig tonight and fucking gut it and eat it.
Yeah.
It's like that's what I'm here for.
I can't do it in person. It's like when they bring the head.
Minor
of the fish.
Ruby loves Mike, and Rudy reminded him or her of cholos she or he grew up with. Minor.
Okay.
Ruby. Yeah. Oh,
Well, I
I
hope
know
so.
what I was going to say, which was to give people a little primer on the word basically, if you would, just before we take off, because people, they that sort of it's not been as I wouldn't say prominent, but as recognized in the lexicon of the Los Angelinos that it deserves.
B world, real quick. B world. Pigs are smarter than dogs, and yeah, I don't really eat much pig.
Dude,
like I don't eat bacon that much. I'm talking boar. They are horrible, shitty animals that would kill you and eat you asshole first if they had to. I love shooting boars and eating them because it's delicious. Okay, sorry. Go ahead, Drew.
Basically, give them a little primer on basically.
Okay, basically is the Hispanic multisyllabic word that is just common. Every culture has like the words that they use far too much, oftentimes inappropriately. White women say literally,
literally
far too much, and oftentimes wrong.
It's is really sort of what that's sort of the white version really, and I was noticing
for Hispanics it is,
I was telling
at least
French,
in LA and in Chicanos it is basically.
In the French even have words like that. The genre, and they just sit there bah, and then I thought, oh, that's the Los Angelino. In a way, when you look what other cultures do as they're sort of holding words or thinking words, basically is a pretty good one.
It is. It's just it does seem to be relegated to like that culture. Like, and I said, I don't know if it's all the brown. It just seems to be like Chicanos, Los Angeles, Southern California Chicano. But if you used to watch like local LA news, it would always be like, well, reporting live here in South LA, there was a shooting at 4 p.m. I'm here with local resident Javier Mendez. Javier, do you said that you saw the actual shooting? Well, basically, like guy blasted, and then basically he jumped up there, and then basically like the cops basically came, and basically they ran after him on foot, but they basically couldn't catch him. It
has not been as prominent, I don't think, in recent years. Last couple of years, I think it's sort of it needs to take its place in the proper position of lexicography in California. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. And literally really needs to be checked. I mean, because I told you about the girl at the food truck who said like, oh, you've never had these tater tots? And she was behind me and I was like listening, eavesdropping. She's like, literally, you're going to die. And I'm
literally, like, your mouth will fall.
No, literally she's not. In fact, if she is literally going to die, we need to call the Board of Health.
Well, it's good to talk to you as always. And again, the website is Mikey Likes You.
We'll probably see you more now because you're in Austin area. You're not in Austin?
Well, he's nearby.
I'm like 20 miles outside Austin.
Okay, good. We'll probably see you. I wonder if he's near Annie.
I'm right on the Lake Travis area. I'm in city of Lago Vista. If anybody's Jonestown, Lago Vista.
Nice. Somebody on our stream said that they live out there and they hope they run into you.
I would love that.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see you guys too. We're coming down there a couple of weeks actually, but it's going to be pretty busy.
Yeah, the first time is we're traveling every weekend and then we're ending up in Costa Rica.
It's very weird.
Nice.
I have some, for business, but Drew, I have some bad news.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an hour and a half drive from the airport and I don't know what to expect. So I hope you're ready for that. I know. We did that once, telling the story when
it was terrible.
We went to Costa Rica with the kids and we drove.
It was the scariest ride I've ever had in my life, and I did not think we were going to make it. And it was a car, speed tested to about 37 miles an hour, and it was doing 60 through the banana plantations on roads that were
with
sort
no
of paved,
sides on the car.
sort of paved, yeah.
Sort of paved.
and it was and a lot of oncoming traffic going
A
faster.
lot of chickens and
Yeah.
and oh my God, he was shaking in his boots.
I
And
didn't
I was
like
like,
that.
oh,
I had a
I'll
whole
never do
family
that
with me,
again.
for God's sakes. One thing it was just she and I.
It was my fault, but they say the roads are better. Tom Green goes there a lot, so I have to have a conversation now. Yeah, it's kind of like, do we have to do that? Like,
I know.
I mean, we're going. Can we tell them what we're doing?
No.
Oh, okay. But but one of our trips in the next month on the weekend, all our weekends are travel worthy almost till Thanksgiving. So we'll be in your neck of the woods, and we'll be back once a month. So we'll make an extra day to see you guys.
We leapt into many other topics. There's a good website on let's see, forestry management, the University of California Agriculture and Natural Resources Forest Reach and Outreach, where they talk about how the state fails at forestry management. Yes, we don't have all the forests in the state. We have most of them. And we really are not paying attention to what we should be doing. Okay. That is my...
Drew has a heart out.
Yes, I do. That's my...
All right. Love you guys.
All right. Good to see you.
We love you too.
Thanks, Mike. We'll talk soon.
Thanks,
Mikey
everybody.
Likes You. See it, everybody. Follow him on Instagram and Kulo Breaker and wherever else he happens to be. And we'll talk soon. And we thank you all for being a part of this. Thank you all on the restream. And we will probably not be in again until Tuesday. Is that right? Yeah. So we will see you all on, let's look at Monday real quick. Make sure we're not doing something Monday.
We don't have anything Monday.
Okay. So we will see you. I'm seeing Heather McDonald and many other things on Tuesday.
Yeah, we have a lot of stuff going on.
That gets in the way of this.
We'll see.
We'll maybe do it earlier.
It'll be later.
Okay. All right.
In the evening. So anyways.
Different time on Tuesday, but we'll
Anyways. That's another word that people use a lot.
Yes, anyways. Okay. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. See you. Whoa. That's my daughter, Paulina. I'm Dr. Drew. We are signing these plates for those of you that have purchased signed books through Premier Collectibles.
Thank you for buying.
Thank you for getting the book. And we will just be signing these things as we go here today. And so, one of the things we were going to we're going to answer your questions and you can send them in.
We'll get to you.
The link is at the website if you want to get again, premiercollectibles.com/awkward. A lot of good questions here. We will get to some of those in a minute. We're going to talk for a few minutes, though, about, somebody's actually asking the question we're going to get into. Why did you two decide to write this book? Was the catalyst an awkward conversation? I don't go so far as needing to be, have somebody's heel in my chest. You know what I mean? I just like to kind of like, you make the decisions. That's fine. That's really such division of powers. Like, it's not going to work if we're both in charge.
Right. I mean, I think that especially in sex too, I'm not saying that you're necessarily into all these submissive.
Oh, I am.
Types
no,
of.
I'm just kidding. We haven't gotten there yet. This dose of Dr. Drew is produced by Susan Pinsky, and a reminder, the discussions here are not a substitute for medical care, diagnosis, or treatment. The show is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I am a licensed physician, but I am not a replacement for your physician, nor am I practicing medicine here. Always remember that our understanding of medicine and science is constantly evolving. Though my opinion is based on the information that is available to me today, some of the contents of this show could be outdated in the future. Be sure to check with trusted resources in case any of the information has been updated since this was published. If you or someone you know is in imminent danger, don't call me, call 911. If you're feeling hopeless or suicidal, call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-8255 anytime 24/7. You can find more of my recommended organizations and helpful resources at drdrew.com/help.